You got me? Folks, Tomfoolery Band personnel, employees, and setup and tear downers, I introduce to you the new 2007 All-in-One Rack. As you can see, this rack is all-in-one at this point. Amplifiers are mounted in the bottom. We have a safety storage facility for quick fix devices, ground lifts, things like that. After this, above this area is where the snake is being stored in a bucket style container, and it will be coiled in here in a over-under style wrap, otherwise he will
Let's see
fight.
the over-under.
Alright.
Show us.
So basically we're probably about 50-60 feet are in here at this point. Back up a little bit so everything's not in your face. This cable's ready to pull.
Yes, sir.
First operation, at the end of the night, we're going to power down the rack, and the show goes down. Amplifiers off. Front of house is disconnected. We've checked this at this point. Cable starts coming in. You can see it wants to lay how it wants to lay. The top, then the bottom comes under, lays in. The next goes over the top. The next one is underneath and lays in. Next one goes over the top, and so forth and so on. At this point, we're at the head of the snake. A lovely new feature. Back away so you can see what's going on here. The lovely new feature is that now all along the entire 100-foot snake out to front is a 14-3 power cable that's attached to it at all times. Do not separate the tape of this device. Just leave it. Stays with it all the time. The bag goes in very nicely, drops into the middle, and that right there is the snake. Come around back.
Let's go back. This old band.
Alright, back up so you can see. We now have the snake head mounted to the upper right portion of the back of this rack. The lines coming from front of house stay connected. The lines going into the rack, into the panel in the back to feed the amplifiers, stay connected. As you recognize this is the horn riser loom that went to the horn riser. Used to be disconnected every night. No longer is disconnected. It stays connected. It is tied to the back of the rack over here and stays tied to the back of the rack. You'll see that the horn lines, which are over here, stay connected to the back of the rack at all times. There will soon be a drum loom in here as well. Back up. Now, this has been freed from the riser at this point and just sits out of the way. As you see, there's now rope light running around the outside, so keep this rack powered as long as possible so that you can see what's going on in the dark corner until the work lights of the switch in the back shuts off the power to the rack. And we just disconnect this. The rack turns off. Power cable is also going to be rolled up in an over-under fashion. Under, over, one under, one over. The purposes of this is so that the cable thinks it's actually flat or in a wavy pattern, not spun like a coil. That way when it gets cold, it's much easier to handle. Come around. The power cable will slide in here on top of the snake in the back. Stay out of the way. Stays connected all the time. Do not undo any tape. The next item is the horn riser loom.
Action.
Now at this point, the horn riser has been dismantled and the loom is laying on the ground stretched out. The easiest thing to do is leave everything as is. You'll notice here there's a string that has the strain relief for the horn riser loom that stays attached. Keep it attached. You'll see there's a small carabiner. This is also on here. Leave this attached. We'll soon know what to do with this. At this point, take the loom and start to coil it in a circular fashion with an under,
over,
and an over, and about the size of a 12-inch record. That's what we're looking for, just about an LP size. We have an over, and then you can almost feel it want to do it. Then we have an under, and we have an over, and it gets a little confusing at the end because there's a fan out going on here.
This portion of the program was brought to you by Jack Daniels, the Breakfast of Champions.
See, it stays high and tight. At this point, find that little carabiner that we have and just feed it through the loom right here and run it back to the string, and it attaches as its own hanger. Now if you look down here, you'll see that everything is high and tight and hangs on the back.
There we go. Button it up. Blooper reel.
The foolery went away.